This is a quick walk around video for a Honda Accord 2.4 EX manual. 2009 car with 66,000 miles on the clock. And as you know from the advert, just the one private gentleman's owned this car from new, and he's serviced it 10 times by the Honda dealers. We've just serviced the car ourselves, but the car is lovely. Original i-VTEC Honda number plates on the front there. Front bumper is as clean as a whistle, hardly a mark of any note on there at all. In fact, it's hard to see anything, but there we go. Top of the front wings and the bonnet on the leading edge there, absolutely a notable absence of stone chipping. It's just very, very, very clean. Coming down the near side of the car first, again really clean in the flanks. There was two tiny little pimple dents which I'll pick up on for you, but they don't detract in any way. Front wing there, absolutely unmarked. Front near side alloy, completely unmarked as well, just a bit of mud splash on there. Full set of Yokohama tyres on this car as well, which is a really good sign of ownership on any car, and they've got tons of tread on them as well. Just to show that the only two I could find on this side, I mean, it's literally tiny little dimple down there. I think there's one there as well, but I mean, they're sort of the size of a small fingernail. They're absolutely minuscule. And then continue down the near side of the car, really clean and fresh in the paintwork. Rear alloy, absolutely clean as a whistle, no marks in there at all. But it really is a gorgeous looking car. Lovely colour, this sort of tungsten grey colour as well. Come around the back of the car, again all very clean. You can hear the exhaust gurgling. It's because the car's been idling for some time and water settles in the bottom of the exhausts, so it just needs to clear its throat with a good old rev in a second. It's quite normal for all the Honda petrol engine cars, but pretty much unmarked around the back end. Offside the vehicle, can't see any imperfections in the paintwork in terms of sort of dimple dents. Rear offside alloy, absolutely unmarked, and then the rest of the panel works really clean. As I said, there will be the odd minor mark on the car, brush marks, that kind of thing, which the camera doesn't pick up, so do please bear that in mind. And this is nearly 9 years old now, this car. Final alloy, absolutely as clean as a whistle, but externally, crikey, it's such a clean car. If I was going to mark it out of 10, it'd be sort of 9.5 out of 10. It's absolutely beautiful. Coming into the boot now, it looks pretty much as new in the back here. All the trim just looks like, I mean, it looks like the boot's never really been used, in all honesty. It's got that look to it. Obviously a load line has been fitted, which is a really good sign again of ownership. So underneath, the carpet's absolutely as new. It's a wonderful example. Coming to the back now, rear door card, clean as a whistle. Footwell areas look all very good indeed. It's a full set of original Honda mats fitted to this car, as you'd expect. And then the leatherwork itself is really lovely. Obviously a full black leather in this particular example. Coming to the front now, driver's door card again in really fabulous order. Electric window back switch bank there, all clean as a whistle. And then controls for your wing mirrors and the memory seats, again just completely unmarked. Driver's seat itself, it's in wonderful condition. So it's been treated with kid gloves, this car, it really has. And then come across to the front passenger seat. As with the driver's seat, just in beautiful condition, it really is. Sort of continuing theme on this video. And then up above, full electric sunroof on these EX models in this particular vintage car. So inside the car now, obviously the engine's running, so it has been all the way through. Pardon me. Dashboard of the car, not sheened up or made to look sort of shiny, is in absolutely beautiful original condition. It looks in fantastic order. Sat nav system, you see they're working perfectly. Pop it into reverse, nice clear parking camera, all working exactly as it should. But the plastics, the switch gear, just looks like it's just rolled off the production line. It's in really fabulous order. I love cars like this. I mean, it just shows that the person that's had the car, you know, has taken pride in the ownership of their vehicle. And come across the binnacle itself. Let's go in there for you. 66,243 miles. No warning lights, just the information lights on there for the low fuel light. But steering wheel, as with the rest of it, feels as new in hand. Everything's working exactly as it should as well. But a really, really special example. It's finally coming under the engine bay, and what an engine. Beautifully presented engine bay from Honda, and a jewel of an engine, it really, really is. This one, as I said, been serviced 10 times by Honda, and we've just serviced it ourselves, and it's just going to go through an independent MOT today. What will follow this video will be a road test of this very car. Right then, this is a road test video, and this is for a Honda Accord 2.4 EX manual. This particular car is registered LD09HTU, and mileage at the start of the road test is 66,235 miles. The reason we do the road tests, as I say in all of these videos, is very simply we want customers to see the cars we're selling actually in operation prior to coming to see us. That way, if there's any obvious faults with the car, we can relay them back to you immediately prior to coming to see us. We know how frustrating it is when you go and see a car and there's a fault with it, which you should have been told about, and that's exactly why we do it. It's also done on the same very quiet road test route, very close to our business, so it should be representative of what you should see and feel yourself. If you heard a ping coming on, by the way, that's just the low fuel light just popped onto the dashboard now, so I'll have to put some fuel on in a second as well. Brief background to this car. This car is very, very special indeed in terms of its ownership, certainly. One private owner from new. He's had it serviced 10 times by the Honda Honda main dealers at Chiswick. So the same dealer has serviced this car from start to finish, which is fantastic. They get to know the car, the customer. You know, it's pretty much perfect ownership for a vehicle, and immediately the car feels like it. You know, I'm going to be brutally honest before I start this video. You know, I am horribly biased towards these cars. I absolutely adore them. It's the reason I bought the vehicle. I've got a passion for these things, and this is one of the very, very best examples we've ever had. Engine kicks into life absolutely immediately. Settles are very smooth, very even idle. There's no warning lights on the dashboard apart from a low fuel light. It's just pinged on, as we've just said. The temperature gauge, and it's been driving now for well over an hour, is at a third, which is exactly where it should be on a Honda car, whether it be a petrol, diesel or otherwise. But it's the engine itself. It is just a wonderful, wonderful unit. There's no vibration coming back into the car at all. It genuinely feels, and I put it in the text of the advert, that, you know, it's a 6-cylinder. It's got that wonderful smoothness about it, that, you know, turbine-like effortlessness to the way it produces its power and revs through the rev range. It's a brilliantly refined unit. Also fantastically tough and reliable. These take massive mileages in their stride with just normal and regular maintenance. But it's the way, oh, what an engine. It picks up from low revs, pulls hard to the mid-range, and then hits the VTEC and sings even harder through to the red line. It's just a wonderful, wonderful unit. You know, there's some good engines out there, really good engines, but I don't know of anything in this particular sector of the market that gives you longevity, reliability in a different league to anything else in its class. Is as clean revving, as fuel efficient, because they are incredibly fuel efficient as well. It's just the perfect engine for me. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful unit. You think of Honda, you think of S2000s, Integra Type Rs, and Civic Type Rs, and all NSX, and you know, this engine ranks up with any of those. It's not trying to be a sports engine necessarily, but it's a brilliant unit. Engine then feeds through clutch and into gearbox. Clutch is smooth in operation. Bike point is exactly where it should be. No vibrations, nothing. It's absolutely spot on. Gearbox, again, your classic Honda box. beautiful actuation. Synchromesh just sucks the gear into the next gear, but it's the quality of the change which is extraordinary. You know, it is obviously a cable that's running through to the gearbox in front, which is common on, you know, front-wheel drive cars, but you'd never know. It just feels mechanical, and I'm just changing gear for fun, just to, you know, it's just so easy to find your gears. You cannot get lost in it, all 6 of them. It's, you know, an object lesson to other manufacturers and just how to produce a brilliant manual gearbox with a bit of soul and character, and you know, it shows motorsport heritage quite clearly. I mean, it's just, they do these things brilliantly well, and something you'll appreciate over, you know, years of ownership. And it gives you, you know, every indication as to why the chap owned the car from new for nearly 9 years. You know, it's, you know, because why would you give up on a car like this? You know, when, you know, for that, it's just a wonderful car. So powertrain, cannot fault it. Steering, tracks bullet straight. There's no vibrations at all from it. Well, that doesn't tell you just what a brilliant steering system it is. I'm not a huge fan of modern electric power steering systems, but in terms of steering, this is incredibly accurate, beautifully weighted, works fantastically well with the chassis, and that's not always the case. You can have really good steering and a flaccid, horrible chassis which just, you know, just doesn't, they don't talk to each other very well. This is brilliant. This is why I love these cars. Everything about it is just harmonized to the next component so beautifully well, and the steering is just one of those. It's just, it gives you utter confidence regardless of what speed you're doing. It gives you lovely feedback, it doesn't jar, it's weighted beautifully, and I can't feel a single ounce of wear in it at all. It feels tight and taut. Then brings me onto the chassis of the vehicle, and it's just brilliant. Again, it's an astonishing chassis. It's got a firm ride, you know, akin to, let's say, something like a BMW, but not as harsh. But what it gives you is just sensational body control. The shock absorbers take away the worst of any kind of sharp ridge very well indeed. But even at sort of higher speeds, the car remains poised, stable, comfortable, but utterly precise. And I know just how good these things are, because I've actually driven one around a racetrack, so I know on the limit just how well balanced the chassis is. So, and that's where other cars can literally fall apart because they're not really designed to do it. This is a wonderful car to drive on a short blast or a really long haul across, you know, many countries. They've got it spot on. They really hit the sweet spot with the vehicle. Brakes on the car, solid brake pedal, nice actuation, no vibrations, no pulsing through the brake pedal, as you'd expect given the history of the vehicle and the way it's been kept. Also 60 miles an hour now, very quiet in here, notwithstanding sort of the rain pattering on the windscreen, which again suggests things like windscreen seal, sunroof seal and all door seals are all in very good order indeed. Looking around inside the vehicle, you know, if you want to know build quality, here you are, you know, 9 years old, not a squeak, not a murmur, not a buzz, nothing at all. It feels rock solid in here. Beautifully built, very well laid out, dead simple and easy to use. High up sat-nav system working perfectly. Then you got down here a nice, simple, easy to use radio, old-fashioned in a way. You know, it's just push button, tells you exactly what you want to do. And then down below we've got controls for the climate control system, dual zones, you can do side to side, all working exactly as it should. Then directly in front of me, very classic Honda gearbox, Honda dashboard, two big, bold, dominating displays for the revs and the speed of the car, flanked by the fuel and temperature gauges. But all very simple, easy to use, all the pixelation exactly as it should be. And then obviously we've got the usual things, auto lights, auto wipers, and the multifunction steering wheel with hands-free functions on the bottom left. Bottom right, you've got your information display controls for the main binnacle directly in front. cruise control top right, and then your radio controls on the top left there, but all working just wonderfully well. It really is. You know, I know I'm eulogizing about the car. I know it's probably slightly over the top, but I love these cars for exactly what they are. It's a peak of development for Honda. It's a wonderful car. You know, if you're cross-shopping it with things, you know, there's perfectly good and worthy cars out there. You know, a 3 Series has a slightly sportier edge to it, I guess, but it's nowhere near as reliable as these things. And I don't think engines and gearboxes are in the same league, in all honesty. I know that's contentious, but I really don't. I'm talking about not just how it drives, I'm talking about owning them, and how much fuel they use, how reliable they are, how many glitches you get with them. You know, Hondas can and always will go wrong at some point. They're cars, but it's the lack of frequency and the lack of seriousness for the faults that is remarkable with the vehicles. But you know, it's not to say they can't go wrong. But you know, the video is here to show you the car in operation. It's also here to pick up on any issues of which that, you know, is expected, but that are none at all. If, of course, and it is perfectly feasible, I have forgotten something, then don't hesitate. Please do give me a call. But whoever becomes the second owner of this car is going to be a very lucky person indeed. It's a wonderful car.